Hello everybody and welcome to the weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan, this being for the week of January the 15th to the 21st, 2018. Now, if you've taken a close look at the thumbnail, it's not going to be much of a spoiler to tell you that this week it is pretty owned by the Ryuou's Work Is Never Done. I'm going to chalk this one up to the fact that the anime is currently airing. I have not watched the anime because in my usual style, regardless of whether I'm going to read more of the series or not, I've decided to hold off on watching the anime just in case I do decide to read some more of the Ryuou's Work Is Never Done. But clearly it seems to be having a strong influence on the buying habits of people in Japan. Even with the volumes that appear on this list, the top 10, if you expand it to the top 20, there are 3 more volumes of the Ryuou's Work Is Never Done appearing on that list in the 10 to 20 spots. So very much owned this season. It looks like this is kind of like the Classroom of the Elite that we saw back in the summer, where that series had a massive surge, tons and tons of its volumes all throughout the top 10 over a good number of weeks. So this seems to be the series this season that is having a major bump because of the anime. With that said, let's start the list, and funny enough, at number 10 with 4,937 copies sold, it is volume number 2 of Ryuo no Oshigoto, or of course, the Ryuou's Work Is Never Done. This one is currently licensed for English release by Bookwalker. It's a ebook only exclusive, and you can only purchase it from Bookwalker. They are slowly, this is the second title that they have licensed. What they are doing is it's a little bit different. They are licensing the series and having for a period of time the series is exclusive to them, and then they are giving back, basically, like when that exclusivity period is over, the Japanese publisher is also getting the English translation that Bookwalker has paid for, and they're free to do with it whatever they want, whether they release it themselves or whether they use it to influence the translation of another company that they licensed it to. I'm not too sure how this is going to play out because this is still a relatively new thing that Bookwalker has arranged. As I said, this is only their second title. And funny enough, volume number 2 is coming out January 31st. So Bookwalker, they released volume number 1, I guess about, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. Or maybe it was longer. Funny how time seems to fly nowadays. But in any case, they are bringing out volume number 2 of the series. Going to be out January 31st. I'm still waffling about whether I'm going to pick it up and check it out. But yeah, so number 2 of the Ryuou's Work Is Never Done is at number 10 this week. At number 9 with 5,501 copies sold, volume number 7 of Sono mono Nochi ni, also known as That Person Later On. This has no license officially for the manga or light novel in English. Wazu was an ordinary townsman who shut himself off in the mountain because of an unfortunate course of events. After 2 years, he decided to come down from the mountain to meet with people, but there were various misunderstandings about the mountain, which he shut himself off in, and then he repeatedly had encounters with people. And then after that, I think this is possibly one of the worst synopses that I have ever read for a light novel. I mean, it's generic, but it tells you so little that, yeah, it basically, I did find a scanlation of the manga online when I was trying to do a little bit of research about this title. Actually, when volume number 8 was, number 6 was on the list a couple of months ago. This is basically a pure fantasy. It's not an isekai, but it is an OP main character type fantasy. So basically this character goes off into the mountains, shuts himself away, pretty much becomes stupidly OP and then returns to society and, you know, does what OP main characters do, which is basically find a whole bunch of trouble that he solves a lot easier than anybody else because he's ridiculously OP. There were some kind of interesting elements to it. This whole sort of an element of like dragons, and he's actually got a really cute little baby dragon that hangs out with him. And well, you know, it still sounds kind of like a generic OP main character type fantasy series, but hey, at least it's not an isekai. And anything with cute baby dragons, I'd give it a shot at least once. But so far, no license on this one in English right now. At number 8, with 5,764 copies sold, volume number 14 of Only Sense Online. This one, we do not have a license for either the light novel or the manga. Yoon is a novice MMO player who equipped with only unpopular skills labeled as garbage. However, soon after the official launch of the game, the NPC stopped to sell recovery potions. Everyone finally started to notice the importance of support magic and items. And that spells trouble for Yoon as well as the other support-based players. They received orders for recovery potions from endless floods of players en masse. Some more aggressive players even go as far as forcing the support players to be their personal craftsmen. In order to prevent this from going out of hand, all the support players grouped together to form a community to keep things in order. Now, of course, this has been on the list before. Volume number 13 was on the list previously since I've started doing these videos. Pretty much I heard from most of you that it's a little bit generic, but in general, this is a very humor-based type VR MMO, based light novel series. And that really, it is just a game. It's not one of these, they get trapped in the game or what have you. So, but yet no license on this one. And there hasn't been an anime for this. I would say that with 14 volumes, I'm kind of surprised that there hasn't been something at least. But I've got to say that I don't think we'll see this in English unless somehow an anime gets greenlit for it. Seen some interesting things. J-Novel Club is on a website called Curious Cat. It's like curiouscat.me, I think it is. I signed up for it too, and it's basically one of those Ask Me Anything type websites. And J-Novel Club had some interesting things to say about ongoing series and series that have a ton of volumes. And it pretty much, I think, confirmed a lot of what I've said and what I said actually in the podcast that I was on a week or two ago, where I said that, you know, a series that is many, many, many volumes already ahead, that it's a little intimidating as an English company to say, yeah, we're going to license that, because you're kind of signing up for a really long haul. And if it doesn't go well, you're going to be in trouble. So, the series that I see, these series that are very, very long and have no anime to support them and create sort of a fan base and have yet to have any kind of license in English. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I'm pretty sure we're never gonna see them unless, like I said, for some reason an anime happens and it's a huge, huge hit. In that case, well, all bets are off. At number 7, with 5,824 copies sold, volume number 1 of Ryuo no Oshigoto. Hey, it's the Ryuo's Work Is Never Done again. This time, of course, volume number 1. Brand new readers jumping on board to this series to see what the light novel is like. My guess is they're coming out of the anime, kind of wondering what the book is like in comparison. Again, this is exactly the same sort of thing that we saw with Classroom of the Elite a number of months ago. So definitely the anime having, I would say, a huge influence. Kono light novel ga Sugoi, of course, the Ryuo's Work Is Never Done, placed number 1 on the Bunko list. Maybe because Kono light novel ga Sugoi came out towards the end of the year, maybe we're seeing sort of a combined effect of Kono light novel ga Sugoi plus the anime all kind of hitting within a couple of weeks of each other. Maybe that's why we're seeing this really big push on this series. I'm not too sure. It's obviously I'm just speculating, but it would seem to make sense. At number 6, with 6,481 copies sold, volume number 8 of Kagerou Daze. Now, we have talked about this, of course. It is the last volume in the Kagerou Daze series. We do have up to volume 7 released in English by Yen On, so I fully expect that we will get this final volume at some point. There has been an anime. The manga is released by Yen Press. So, of course, yeah, it's a series that we do have in English that's been ongoing, a kind of cool, very sort of different type of series that's really sort of apparently connected through all the different media that it exists in. So this is the final volume of the light novel series, and obviously, I mean, it's been at the number 1 spot on this list. It's hanging in there on this list for a couple of weeks, so clearly, you know, the fan base is still very interested in seeing how this series ends, and I kind of find it interesting that a final volume is having longevity, especially a volume that people have waited over a year for. I would have thought to see like a massive surge in sales on the very first week and then to have it maybe fall off. But the fact that it's having this sort of consistency and that it's, you know, having this persistence on the list, I kind of have to wonder if either it's like a word of mouth kind of thing where people are saying to each other like, yeah, the last volume's come out, it's awesome, you should check it out. And I don't know. I'm not too sure why. I mean, when doing this list every like week in and week out, you really do get that feeling that a lot of the light novel market in Japan is sort of like big splash, quick die, right? So, you know, you have your big first week sales, really huge. If a series lasts at least another week, it's maybe because it released on the tail end of the 1 week and now it's got a full week of sales behind it. But they don't seem to last a very long time, and as I said, this is the last volume in this series, and because it's been such a long time between volumes, like I said, I kind of thought we'd see that huge splash and then it would be gone, but it's hanging in there, which I think is kind of cool, because like I said, it is a very different series compared, at least from my experience, in terms of a lot of the stuff that we have available in English. At number 5, with 6,795 copies sold, volume 18 of Hataraku Maou-sama, or The Devil is a Part-Timer. This one licensed for English, released by Yen On. We have up to volume number 9 currently available. I have read the first 8. Really good series. Really excellent blend of good characters, slice of life, comedy plus supernatural action. Volume number 8 left on a great cliffhanger, so I'm looking forward to getting into number 9 shortly. So this one was number 1 last week. Now, of course, it's tumbled a couple of spots, but still, it makes me happy to see a series that I really enjoyed still doing well in Japan. There was a 13-episode anime which aired in April of 2013. It only covers volumes 1 to 2, so if you're familiar with the anime, you can jump in really early, and we've gone way, way, way past what the anime covered. But at the same time, the anime came out years ago, so if you haven't found out that they're releasing the books by now, you should get on that. At number 4, with 7,090 copies sold, volume number 9 of Youjo Senki, or the Saga of Tanya the Evil. So this, of course, is licensed by Yen On. Volume number 1 just released in December. Read it, reviewed it, loved it. Not going to be for everybody. I think that history and particularly war buffs might get a little bit more out of it because there is a very heavy emphasis on strategy and outcomes of plans that are both decent and not so decent. But of course, it does still have lots of sort of action, and it's got this interesting blend of like World War I and magic to it. It's really cool series, not really like any other isekai type, reincarnation type series that we have otherwise. One that I really recommend, but Of course, as I said, the technical jargon and the back and forths on strategies and stuff like that may not be for everybody. I understand that the anime that aired for it, it focused a lot more on sort of the action aspects and the sort of conflict between Tanya and the god who reincarnated her into this world. So different takes, but nonetheless, I thought the light novel was excellent and definitely a series that I'm looking forward to continuing. At number 3, with 9,292 copies sold, volume number 9 of Gamers. New release this week to the list. This one, we have no official English license for the series. Now, there was a 12-episode anime which aired July to September of 2017. Did stream on Crunchyroll, and from what I've seen online, it covered up until about volume number 5 of the series. The romantic comedy light novel series centers on the gaming lives of various high school students who play video games, including Keita Amano, a lonely young man who loves video games, Karen Tendo, the beautiful president of the video game club, Chiaki Hoshinomori, who constantly fights with Keita, and Tasuku Uehara, who puts on a facade of being satisfied with his life in the real world, but he, in truth, loves video games. Very sort of slice of life type series. I did watch some of the anime, not all of it. I thought it was cute. Now, obviously, I don't know what the light novels are like. This one, we have not had a license come out or be announced for it. And the longer we go after an anime airs, the less likely it is to happen. Again, this is something that was interesting with J-Novel Club's Curious Cat discussions. They were talking like that you have almost an 80% drop off in interest like within a month or two of an anime airing. So really, like, you know, you got to jump on top of these things. And if you don't see a license announced and you get anywhere like longer than say 6 months, the likelihood it's going to happen is, kind of low, which is too bad, because I have said numerous times I would like to see us get more slice of life type books. And I think something like, say, Gamers would appeal to the bracket that is very invested in light novels. I mean, well, okay, I'm talking from my own experience because I love video games too, but it strikes me that many of you are in that same boat. So it seems to me like this would probably be a fairly decent fit, but so far, no dice. At number 2, with 12,494 copies sold, Okitagami Kyoko no Iro Mihon, aka the Forgetful Detective series. Now, this one is notable. I don't often talk about like authors or stuff, but this is notable because this is a Nishio Ishin novel, and funny enough, has artwork by Vofan. So this is the same team that has been giving us the Monogatari series. This is the 9th volume in the series. Okitagami Kyoko is a famous detective who solves cases in a single day. In fact, she has to, since her memories only last for one day before they reset. However, for important things, she writes messages for herself down on her body with a special pen. One of her common clients is Kakushidate Yakusuke, a man who is often wrongly suspected of committing crimes. There is also a live-action drama adaptation of this story. The original novel story is about a detective named Kyoko Okitagame who is also known as the Forgetful Detective. She forgets everything in a day but solves cases the same day. Her name apparently has the Japanese word for today in it. An unlucky young man named Yakusuke Kakushidate somehow ends up as the suspect in every case, and he always asks for the detective. So, Nishio Ishin, getting back to mystery with this one, of course we have the Zaragoto series, which is a mystery series as well. And I don't know if we're going to get this one in English, but it wouldn't totally surprise me. Vertical has been very much on the Nishio Ishin bandwagon. They've licensed the vast majority of the Monogatari series. They have licensed the Zarigoto series, or at least they've licensed the first 2 volumes. Funny enough, actually, volume 2 of Zarigoto is coming out in February. So there seems to be a bit of love for Nishio Ishin over at Vertical. This series, though, sounds really fun. Like, I would love to get this series. I mean, first of all, of course, very different because it's a mystery, like a detective type series, but this whole thing about character forgetting, like it actually reminds me of Memento. That's the immediate thing that I think of. I don't know how the series is structured or how it works, but it sounds cool. I would be really happy to see this series. So, you know, Vertical, if you're watching this, hey, I have a suggestion for you. Finally, at number 1, with 24,568 copies sold, volume number 7 of Ryuo no Oshigoto, or The Ryuu's Work Is Never Done. So this is the latest volume that just released for the week that this covers of that series. So of course it's going to be number 1, especially when you've got like volumes 1 and 2 on the top 10 as well. And like I said, you've got 3, 4, 5, and 6, I think, within the top 20 or 25. Again, you know, I think you're combining like Kono light novel ga Sugoi along with an anime, and it is just turning out to be a very, very potent remedy for sales on this thing. Yeah, I mean, really, what else is there to say that I haven't said in the previous 2 times that I've mentioned this series? It'll be really interesting to see what happens next week. I think there's a bunch of other new releases coming out. Usually towards the end of the month, there's a good sort of chunk of releases. So we'll see what happens next week, whether the Ryuu's Work Is Never Done can hold on to, well, we'll see how many slots it holds on to. It's got 3 this week. It'll be interesting to see if it still manages to hold on to 3 next week, and if it has the sort of same sort of routine that Classroom of the Elite did, where the very early volumes like 1 and 2 were in the top 10, and then after a week or 2 it flipped. 1 and 2 dropped out of the top 10, but like 3 and 4 came into the top 10 as people kind of moved ahead in the series. So it'll be interesting to see if we sort of see that same effect with the Ryuu's Work Is Never Done. So that's this week's top 10, and like I said, I know what I'm looking to see what happens next week. So don't forget to join me here, and we'll do this again next Saturday. If you're brand new to the channel and you love light novels, you should consider subscribing. I don't only do this list every single week, but I also do 2 to 3 light novel reviews a week as well. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.